Hi guys, Mr. 3D here, and in today's video, I want to provide you my initial thoughts and impressions on Frontier Defense. Now, do excuse me for actually releasing this video quite late, because I've been kind of busy on my end for real life stuff, and I've been kind of busy playing other games as well, as I decided to take a small break off playing Titanfall 2. And it's not for any bad reason or such, it's just that I kind of been playing Titanfall 2 since the day it's been released constantly, and I just kind of wanted to try out other games. But anyways, my initial thoughts on Frontier Defense is that honestly I actually like it. It's a really well done and well respected game mode that I can't believe they actually finally released it. Now, I heard a lot of good things about Frontier Defense back in Titanfall 1, and the moment Titanfall 2 was released, I was kind of sad that they never introduced it to begin with. And although we had to wait a number of months, I believe maybe 6 to 7 months for it to be officially released, it was definitely worth it. It's nice and it's basically a good welcome towards the game, because now I don't have to worry about always logging in and playing multiplayer matches, because sometimes I kind of just want to sit back and unwind and just go up against really difficult AI. Sometimes I don't want to be going up against other groups or clans or pre-made groups and getting destroyed or just not having a really good time. Sometimes I just want to relax, and a lot of people could probably agree with me saying that with Frontier Defense now introduced in the game, it's very welcoming. Now, one thing I like about Frontier Defense now is that they officially kind of updated it, so it's not like how it was back in Titanfall 1 where it's kind of standard Titan, you got your pilot, your harvester, and then you got to protect the objective for however long of rounds you got. Now they slightly touched it up a bit. When I mean slightly, I mean basically they've added in a new ranking system for your Titans, and this is called the Aegis rank. Now the Aegis rank are kind of like is a specialized Titan kit that basically enhances your Titan from how they were in multiplayer to now a more dominant force, and it also allows them to have a bit more effectiveness on their specific roles. So everyone knows about having a Strider, an Atlas, and a Ogre Titan on the field, and everyone knows the advantages and disadvantages for these three classes. Now, these three classes actually kind of have enhanced versions. So, for example, Tony will be able to fire out a pulse sonar for much longer, or it will basically allow you to locate enemies' weaknesses, and that makes it a lot more easier for players like me who may be in Scorch to actually do a lot more damage. Or for example, Scorch now has the ability to fire not one, not two, but also 3 thermal rounds from his thermal gun. This basically allows me to constantly fire a barrage of shots at the enemy, and this basically means that I do a lot more damage before I have to reload. And this is quite nifty because in some situations, having 1 or 2 thermal shots just isn't enough. Having that extra third one just be enough for me to get that final kill, or just enough to basically save my life if I'm in a doom state. And this also goes the same for all the other Titans as well. So all the other Titans that's currently in the game also have different effective abilities that basically makes them more better and more enhanced. Although some people do say that some of the abilities for some of the Titans could be tweaked a bit, or maybe changed up, or even officially added in to, make them more better. I say a lot of people are actually happy that we have a new dominant force, and also no reason to actually use a Titan except it's just the standard go in, kill, that's it. So basically they've given us a bit extra content to actually play around with. Now another thing I also like about Frontier Defense is the fact that they've added in Davis and Joss as a new faction. Now sadly they're not a new faction in multiplayer, they're only a new faction for Frontier Defense. However, it's actually a welcome for me because it feels quite funny and amazing to actually be a part of a new faction group that's only dedicated to Frontier Defense. Now, although I do enjoy the banter between the two, and you do learn a thing or two between them, the only downside I see to them is that some of the lines are kind of repeated over and over again. Now, I thought maybe we'll get more lines, like a good, say, 15 lines at best. However, all the lines kind of repeat themselves on a repetitive basis, and yes, it gets annoying, and Whether they're gonna update it to, you know, add more voices in, no one really knows. It would be really great if they did add some more voices in, so you know it keeps it a bit fresh, but eventually it will just get a bit more repetitive, like always. So Respawn can only do so much, but that's kind of a small complaint, and that's not really much to worry about. But also another thing I'm also quite interested in, and I might actually do this as a video, is the fact that a conversation between Davis and Jaws near the end of a Frontier Defense mission states that both of them are not in the 6-4 anymore. So that basically opens up a very large discussion onto what exactly happened behind the scenes, and what could this actually mean for the 6-4 overall, and what this could also mean in the near future. Could Davis and Jaws be a new enemy faction? Could Davis and Jaws, you know, fell out with Gates simply over a small or big matter? Or is there something more devastating? I'll cover that in another video though. Overall, I say Frontier Defense as a whole is really nice. Some of the maps are quite nice, and the way some of the maps are designed allows you to understand where enemies will be coming from. So you'll be able to put up specific choke points to stop the enemy from progressing any further. And this also helps even more if you play the correct Titan for that map. For example, Blackwater Canal. You have at least 4 lanes where the enemies can actually come to destroy the Harvester. However, for those 4 lanes, at best, around 3 of those lanes are mostly heavily used. In this case here, because most of the map is so tight cornered, you probably won't be going with a Titan that is either fast, quite tanky, and is capable of taking them out in quite a large spear. So you could be looking at using Legion, Scorch, Ronin, Tone, Monarch, and maybe Iron. Northstar is debatable because Northstar is more of a long range, but Northstar you could probably work with depending on the difficulty. But it's thanks to that it basically allows you to understand how most of your Titans now have specific roles and how they can actually do major damage on the specific maps. But that's not always the case. For example, War Games. War Games is quite disturbing for a map because War Games has caused me a number of problems, and I've only had maybe one scenario where I officially lost the round because there was too many enemies coming at too many different points. And although my teammates were trying their best to block off the enemies, we were just getting surrounded and destroyed by too much attention from all different points. I'm talking about having Stalkers on the roof, I'm talking about having Mortar Titans on the far corner of the maps, and I'm talking about having basically aggressive Ronins closing in on the gap to attack the Harvester. And like I said, we were trying our best to prevent them from coming, but we could only do so much. Now, one thing I say is that do be aware that when War Games is on insane mode, it's another level. It's something that a lot of players actually hate and actually try to avoid. Now, because I do like a challenge every so often, I don't mind giving War Games on insane a try. However, I need to initially find a good team to work with, and I need to find a good specific little route or layout to understand where we should be focusing the most. And once I do understand that, and I actually get something like that ready and it works, say maybe 100% of the times, then I'll talk to you guys back and provide you a initial feedback on how you can use this for effectiveness. Now, let me talk about Rise. Now, Rise is an old Titanfall 1 map, a map that many players were suspecting to actually be coming back quite early on. A lot of players wanted this map back, and I never really knew much about the map. Visually, it looks really nice, and it's like a desolate little facility, you know, something that was brimming with life, but now it's just no use. All you just see is dead Marvins on the floor, sand, and just desolate buildings that looks like basically the time has taken over the area. And it's nice because it kind of fits into that futuristic feel. And I would love to see more maps just like this. However, I'm not sure about that case. Now, I can understand why players wanted this map to come back, and that's simply because of the way the whole map is designed. Yes, you can run on the ground as much as you want, but you have all these walls and buildings laid out for you to always stay above ground at all times. I'm talking about you don't have to stay on the ground forever. You can basically stay on the walls and wall run and such and still dominate as long as possible, and you never would have to touch the ground ever. if you're that skilled. And it kind of reminds me of Glitch in a way, except that there's not a lot of open spaces. There's maybe, say, 2 open spaces, and that's mainly near the spawning points for both teams. At best, near the middle section, you have, I say, the tall buildings that you can keep wall running. You have grappling lines that you can use to grapple from point A to point B. You have some bridges in the middle section that you can also use to effectively rain more terror onto people down below. And really, it kind of allows you to have different types of playstyle, however you want to. So Rise is quite a nice introductory map, and I would love to see what comes up next. Now, Township, I didn't really have much experience with it, but when I did manage to play it, I could say that it was what I genuinely suspected it to be. A very tight, close quarter map that has a lot of buildings, and I can say that be aware that you'll probably be under a lot of camping for this map. It's not exactly like Stacks, where you have a bit of cover and a bit of movement, and it's kind of balanced. Township is slightly different. Township, you can still move around freely. However, in most cases, I find that most players will try to stay in the buildings and mainly peek out the windows to get pop shots at you. And it's incredibly annoying because this isn't what I exactly suspected. I thought that maybe people would be using the buildings as a 5-second kind of cover area. So you go in, you get a bit of cover, a bit of breathing room, then you get back out, and then onslaught right there. And that's not the case for me. Maybe it's the type of players I've been playing with, or maybe it's just my bad experience. But Township is very debatable, but I still enjoy the map. It's a very nice map, and like I said, it kind of reminds me of, say, slightly like Meadows, but with a bit more cover. I keep saying that a lot, but yeah, the whole map has a lot of cover that allows you to make good use when it comes down to taking on enemy and trying to get out of enemy line fire. So overall, Frontier Defense is a very nice DLC introduced in Titanfall 2. And I know this is going to be and I know for a fact that a lot of players are absolutely happy to see Frontier Defense be brought back for all of us to actually play and actually experience. Now, if you're someone that's never played a horde mode type game, this is probably the best way for you to get straight into it. If you've ever... Now, like always, there are improvements for it. For example, maybe they could add some challenges in, maybe they could enhance some of the abilities, and maybe they can bring in specialized classes for our pilots, so enhanced versions of them with built-in Aegis ranks. But those are just small things that personally I would love to see. And like I said previously, Rise is a brilliant map that I know many people will love to play again. And Township is a 50-50 map. Like I said, I expected a little bit more of it, but it is a live fire map and there's not really a lot that you can really welcome from it. But that's kind of my experience. I enjoy it. There are a few improvements here and there, but basically, overall, I would say this was one of my happy reviews for Frontier Defense. So that's the end of the video. I do hope you enjoyed it. If you did, then leave a like, a comment, and subscribe for more. If you didn't, then by all means leave a dislike. I'll understand and I know what to do in the nearby future. So once again guys, thank you all for watching, and I do hope to see you again soon.